I think I had a question for Spirit, but I rambled and forgot what it was. Okay, concentrate. Let's see. Spirit. Have MAGA Americans finally learned their lesson about Trump? Are MAGA people, the Make America Great Again Trump followers, are they finally learning their lesson about Donald Trump? Is MAGA finally learning its lesson about Donald Trump? Spirit, is MAGA finally learning their lesson about Donald Trump? It's just something I'm a little curious about. He just spoke to Laura Ingraham about raising the mortgage terms from 50 to 60 years, and finally his base is seeing him for the scoundrel, for the con artist, for the absolute lunatic and idiot that he is. Maybe. I'm hoping. But you let me know, Spirit. Is MAGA finally learning their lesson about Donald Trump? Not the best at shuffling or cutting cards, but this is tarot. You can kind of do whatever you want to do. Okay, I'm going to give him one more shuffle. I kind of just shuffle till I feel it, till I feel like it's okay to stop. Okay, one more shuffle. Okay, one more shuffle. Okay. Spirit, has MAGA finally learned their lesson about Donald Trump? Spirit, has MAGA finally learned their lesson about Donald Trump? Has MAGA finally learned their lesson about Donald Trump? Okay. We're doing too much. Okay, let's get back to it. Okay, we have the 7 of Wands. We have the 7 of Swords. Ooh. And we have the 6 of Swords. Let's see. So 7 of Swords. Let me think about this for a moment. 7 of Swords is deceit. 6 of Swords. It usually takes me a moment to take a peek through and see. Seven of Wands is more conflict. I see 2 sevens. Sevens, as I'm learning in cartomancy, 7 are discord cards. They're big discord cards. A lot of fighting. 7 of Wands is people are taking the fight to you. You know, confrontation. You are being confronted directly for your ideas, for your actions. You know, the Wands is the action suite. It's about work. It's about getting out there. It's about physicality. It's about making your mark. And 7 of Wands is conflict. 7 of Swords, and I'm still learning the tarot, especially with the Marseille deck. You know, the Marseille pip cards. The imagery just really isn't there. It's just the cards and the and the suit, the number. So let's see. The cards are telling me about the Seven of Swords. Seven of Swords, again, I think is deceit. There's confrontation. They're still being deceived, either by themselves or quite obviously by Donald Trump. How do you know Donald Trump's lying? His lips are moving. Let's see. And the Six of Swords. Let me mull over the Six of Swords a bit. Let me mull over this a bit. Yeah, just mulling this over again. These are really interesting cards for MAGA. Let's see, we have our Seven of Wands. It's definitely conflict. It's ruthlessness. It's abuse of power. Everything that MAGA kind of represents. People who voted ruthlessly out of hate for other people, out of fear, out of frustration. This isn't to say that the American people, particularly people who gravitate toward Trump, don't have any legitimate grievances. They do. But they're aiming their wands at the wrong people instead of at the billionaire class. You know, class solidarity is what's needed among working class, among middle class, working class people of all races, all backgrounds in this country. And MAGA represents not that. They've trained their wands, their anger, their ire at other middle class people, other working class people just like them. And they are ignoring the actual people who are causing the conflict, the actual people who are making their lives miserable, including Trump. And that ruthlessness, that anger, that grievance, that hatred is curdled into a movement that's pretty aggressive, pretty bellicose, pretty ruthless, pretty self-absorbed. And they're starting to suffer a little bit, but I think there's still that element to it. They're in for a pound at this point, a lot of them. And the Seven of Swords represents deceit. Of course, they're still being lied to. The people who are still on the MAGA train. It's more of the same. Donald Trump is even more unhinged. At this point, he's not even pretending that he gives a damn about the people who voted for him. But this deceit might also represent self-deceit. A lot of people who are still MAGA, they still believe that Trump is going to come through for them. They think that they can appeal to his humanity such that it is, when that's kind of a losing battle there. He doesn't care, but he's willing to continue to lie because that's what he does. This movement might still be lying to itself a little bit, not quite seeing the writing on the wall. Deceit. But the Six of Swords, they can get a reprieve from this if they're willing to change their mindset. And the Swords suit is about mindset. It's about ideas. It's about communication. They can still let this go if they're willing to. If they're willing to change their mindset. If they're willing to maybe cut back on the Fox News, cut back on the OAN, cut back on the Newsmax. Seek the truth. They might be able to pull themselves out of this movement. There's hope for them, but they have to have a mindset shift in order to have this hope. But there's still that core of anger, that core of rage, that core of battle and battlement that is with MAGA. Maybe this could be seen as a past, present, future spread. This is the past, and this still might be the present for a lot of MAGA. In the past, it was a movement that was brought together by legitimate grievance, by anger, by rage directed at the wrong people, not directed at the people who sent their jobs overseas, not directed at the corporations and the billionaires who are undercutting their wages, who want more of their labor, but paying less for it. They're not directing their anger at the right people, but there is a lot of righteous indignation that has curdled into just grievance, hatred, rage, the worst impulses. And they've acted on those impulses, voting for Donald Trump, getting him in office twice, and the one time he didn't get into office, staging a coup against the United States. So there's a lot of, this card is a very angry card, and I think it's an apt representation of MAGA. It's all about conflict. In present day, they're still being lied to. A lot of them are turning a corner, but they're still being lied to. And to an extent, the ones who are still being lied to find the lie comforting. I watched a whole video on how comforting resentment can be until it's not. People snuggle up with resentment. In a way, they can alleviate their own responsibility for their own place in life and be willing to blame others. And there's something comforting to MAGA when it comes to holding on to this resentment. So there are a lot of people who are still willing to be lied to. They're still being lied to, whether it's self-deception or, of course, deception from, their God, Donald Trump. The God King Donald Trump, as far as they're concerned. So this represents deceit, whether self-deceit or, just being lied to. And the future might represent them finally turning a corner. The question is, how much will they have to lose before they turn this corner? How much will it cost them? But there's still hope. They can break away from MAGA, from being deceived, from the harm that it's causing them, and they can join the rest of us who have to fight to bring the country back to rights. So, this was my poll on, has MAGA learned their lesson? And maybe they are finally learning their lesson, except at what cost will this lesson be learned? So that's my little poll. I think these are really apt cards for the MAGA movement. So I'm always grateful to Spirit for giving me insight. I'm still relatively new to tarot, and every time I've pulled the cards, every spreads I've done, there's always been a fresh insight. So I'm very grateful to that, and I'm very grateful to you for watching, and I hope this has been insightful. Pardon my ramblings and whatnot, I'm still learning, but we're all kind of learning together. So I thank you so much for watching. If you have any other insights, any other interpretations of these cards that have come to you, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I'd love to see them. And thank you so much for watching, and until we see each other again.